Hello, welcome to Gea English Channel. Subscribe dong. Ngeri, ngeri, ngeri.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to all of you, depending on wherever you are in the world. And in this video, I will be talking about the strategy for successful language learning. So the first thing that I would like to share about the good language learner values the culture and the language and its speakers, right? So here, what do I mean by the good language learners values the culture and the language its speaker? Proficient language learners not only focus on learning the language itself, but also recognizes the importance of understanding and appreciating the culture associated with the language, and also show respect and consideration towards the people who speak it, right? And I think there are some key elements in this statement. It's about value the culture. So what I mean here by value the culture, language and culture are closely interconnected, So here we need to truly understand language. One must also immerse themselves to the culture it represents, and also this includes learning about traditions, learning about the customs, learning about history, learning about beliefs, and also learn about social norms of the people who use the language. All right, and the second element is the value of the language itself. So what do I mean here by the language itself? This means the learner takes the language learning process seriously. They seek to improve their language skills, and also they appreciate the richness and the nuance of the language vocabulary, grammar, expressions, and so on, right? And the third element is the values its speakers. So here, what do I mean by value its speakers? It means a good language learner is respectful and considerate towards native speakers of the language they are learning. They understand the language is a powerful aspect of one's identity, and show appreciation for those who share their language and their culture. And I do believe, language learners can develop a deeper connection with the language, with the culture, and with the speakers itself, which often leads to more effective and meaningful language acquisitions, right? So that's what I mean by the good language learners value the culture, the language, and its speakers. And the second should be done by a good language learner is language learner thinks about his or her language needs and how to be to fulfill them, right? So here, I do believe the good language learner here emphasizes the importance of self-awareness and strategic planning in language learning. It means that proficient language learners takes the time to reflect on their personal language, right? So they need to have the proficient language to take the time to reflect the language they are learning, and also their goals, and they assess their strengths and weaknesses, and also they develop a plan to meet those specific needs effectively, right? And that is what I mean by a good language learner thinks about her or his language needs, and also how to fulfill them, right? And the element of this, I think, to think about the language needs means a good language learner understands that language learning is not one size fits all endeavor, right? People have different reasons for learning a language. For example, for traveling, for working, for education, for personal interest. Also, they need to assess, their specific language needs based on their goals and also their priorities, right? And the second is about how to fulfill the language they learn. After we identify the the language we need, and we need to have a successful language learner to devise a well thought out strategy to fulfill those needs efficiency, right? I mean efficiently. So this may selecting appropriate learning resources, setting realistic milestones, practicing relevant language skills, and also seeking opportunities for immersive experiences. For example, conversations with the native speakers or cultural activities, right? And I think by being mindful of the language needs and also taking a proactive approach address them, language learners can tailor their learning experience to suit their individual goals and also to accelerate their progress. And I think this approach leads to the more effective and meaningful language learning journey, right? And the third statement that I have ever read about a good language learner is about think how well he is learning or she is learning the language and what could be done to improve the learning process. And I think this statement, highlights the importance of self-assessment and also continuous improvement in a language learning. It means that a proficient language learners regularly reflect on their progress and also identifies areas where they may be struggling and also actively seeks ways to enhance their learning experience, right? And the first thing they need to think about how well he or she is learning the language. A good language learner is not complacent. They regularly evaluate their language skills and overall they evaluate their progress. And I think this assessment helps them to understand which aspect of the language they have mastered and which aspect they still require the improvement, right? So that is about how to think about how well and somebody is learning the language. And the second is what could be done to improve the learning process. And this is my suggestion to you, based on a self-assessment, a successful language learner identifies specific areas that need to have an attention and actively looks for ways to enhance the learning process. And I think this may involve like trying different learning techniques. We can also seek additional resources, finding language exchange partners, and then seeking guidance from the teachers or language experts, right? So I think by continuously monitoring the learning journey and also seeking ways to improve, language learners can address weaknesses, can refine their study methods, and can make their language acquisition more efficient and effective. And I think this self-awareness and proactive approach contribute to becoming a more proficient language speaker, right? And another statement I would like to share about the good language learner is about monitors all facets of his or her language and others' language, right? And I think this statement also, emphasizes the importance of attentiveness and observation in language learning. It means that proficient language learners pays close attention not only to their own language skills but also to how others use the language in various contexts, right? And I think by monitoring all phases of somebody's language, a good language learner constantly assesses and evaluates their own language skills, including the grammar, evaluate the vocabulary, evaluate pronunciation, and also evaluate the fluency. And they are proactive in identifying areas where they may make mistakes and need some improvement, and like take steps and to rectify these shortcomings, right? And the second is to monitor others' language. I mean here is, in addition to focusing on somebody's own language development, a successful language learner is observant on of how native speakers and proficient users of language speaks and communicate, and I think by listening to native speakers, reading also to tags, engaging conversations with fluent speakers, and then they can learn from a real life language usage and also understand how the language is used naturally in different contexts, right? And by diligently monitor both the language usage and also others, language learners can gain a deeper understanding of the language nuances, such as idiomatic expressions, cultural subtitles, and then cultural subtleties, and I think this heightened awareness helps to become more proficient and adaptable in using the language effectively in various situations, right? And observing others' language, of course, we have to provide valuable insight into natural language patterns and enhancing overall language learning outcomes, right? And that's what I mean by good learners monitor all facets of his or her language and also others' language, right? So I think this statement is really important to be understood by all the language learners out there, and I do believe if they do this, they can get more progress and also easy strategy to improve the language they are learning, right? And I hope this information is useful for you, and thank you for watching, and take care. Gia English channel, and don't forget, if you are learning something from this, don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and also like this video so you can get a notification for the next video that I will be making. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye bye for now.
Subscribe dong. Ngeri.